Welcome to Maurer Woodworking. I'm Walter Maurer. Today I'm going to start a brand new build. A client reached out to me. His name is Mark. Mark and his wife Chris asked if I could basically replicate an existing end table that they currently have in their living room. So as far as the design, the look, the height, the width, all that stuff, obviously that's set because I'm going to replicate it. The one thing that we decided to go with mahogany for the species of wood, because that's what's currently the one that Mark's grandfather made. The only challenging part is, like with any wood, as it ages, it gets darker. So there'll be a bit of a contrast between the two, but that's not going to be a big deal for them. So let's begin. So this is the piece of mahogany. This board is what I'm going to use to build Mark's end table. I'm 6'3". I wanted to give you some kind of proportion of this wood here. And it's about 10 inches across and 1.5 inches thick. So like with any project, you start out with a board like this, your raw material. But before I do anything, cutting or measuring on here, I use a program from Autodesk. It's called Fusion 360. So what I do is, hopefully you can see this, I design it on the computer first in order to generate my cut list of all the components that I need. I will then measure it out on here to the different sections and cut those into smaller pieces. And then from my cut list sheet here, I'll take those measurements and lay everything out on the board, marking everything, oversizing it a little bit to give me room for trimming things off a little bit later on. Okay, what I'm doing right here is I'm using my joiner to get a nice clean cut at one of the edges, so it'll make it easier using on my table saw. So the edge that I trimmed off on the joiner is actually facing towards me. So now I'm cutting the different components out on the board that I showed in the previous video. Okay, here are the pieces of all the components. I'm just laying out right here in front of you. And then at the end here, you'll see all the components. And what I got left from that entire board is this much scrap. So the style of this furniture is actually called Hepplewhite. Very popular actually in the 1800s. I did a little research. But anyways, part of that design is where the legs on this type of furniture starts up a little thicker up top and then trims down to something much smaller and thinner at the bottom. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually securing one of the legs here, and you can see the blue tape there, and I use CA glue to secure the piece of stock of wood and safely cut the angle that I need. And I need to do this obviously for the other three pieces. So the way I'm going to connect the legs to the side panels, the back and also the front, is doing a mortise and tenon connection, so I can glue that up and they'll provide a very secure and stable setup here. This is one of the legs. I have to do it for the other three. So here I'm just doing a little clean out. All right, completed the mortises. This has two of them. This has one because it's actually the front post, and then tenons. So basically, this will just pick two at random here. Once it's glued up, they'll be obviously secure. So really pretty straightforward, obviously, at this point. So for the front of the end table, I need to have two support rails where the drawer will actually slide into, and I need to be able to secure the two front legs, and you can't use a mortise and tenon setup because the wood's too small. So what you do is you have dowels, and I'm going to be using two of them on each end, and I'll be able to connect those two together and provide a secure structure to support at least the front end of the end table. All right, I completed the glue up process. I'm going to slowly move around. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn on my camera while I was doing it. But anyways, got clamps, squared it up. So here you can see those two rails in the previous video that I was talking about where I used the dowels. Now for my favorite part, the sanding. Well, not really. But anyways, so I'm going through here, sanding it down. Obviously sped up the video here. Getting all the glue that may have squeezed out and just sanding it down. I think the final sand was like at 220. And once I get it all sanded down, then I move on to the next part, is making the drawer. The two sides, the back and the front of the drawer, so I can slide a base panel. So obviously here very carefully cutting the grooves in there, and I got a template which I'll pick up here shortly to make sure that fits in. So that's going to be the base drawer that's going to snap in there. So I glued up the base. Obviously it's an oversized right now, but you can see the three panels I had to glue together to get the complete width and length for the base of the drawer. But just wanted to show that part here. This time I didn't forget to turn on the camera to do the glue up. So this is the glue up for the drawer, and as you can see, everything snaps together. I got my the base for the drawer snapping into one of the sides. So at this point the drawer's been glued up. As you can see, what you're looking at here is the bottom part of the base of the drawer that you saw in the previous video. So all I'm doing here is just skimming off just a little bit off of the two sides, because that's basically where the drawer is going to ride on two support rails once you put the drawer inside the end table. So just making some finer adjustments right there. So the last thing that I need to cut is two support rails for the drawer to slide on. So I'm just splitting this wood in half and making that. So now that I have the bottom support rail clamped up, I want to test out the drawer, sliding it in. That fits like a glove. I'll tilt it up and I'll just show you how it there's no internal mechanism in there as far as the drawer, any rails or anything like that, other than just the wood sliding on the wood. And you can see that right there. So this piece of equipment that you're seeing in front of you here, this is a oscillating belt sander. It obviously rotates and also oscillates right to the left. And the nice part of this piece of equipment, it allows me to sand down flat pieces like this to, perfect thickness. So what you end up doing is you flip it on one side and flip it over to the other side, and just constantly checking to see if there's any defects. And this piece of what you're looking at right now is actually the top. So I did the same thing for the base of the drawer that you saw earlier on in the video. So this is the top. So obviously it's an oversized right now. I'll have to cut it to the right dimensions afterwards. So at this point, I took the top of the end table. I already cut it to size, so it's 20 inches by 20, and now doing the final sanding, getting the edges nice and smooth, and also the top and the bottom portion of it, and getting that ready to glue up. So here I'm measuring out the location of the drawer handle. Obviously this is a sneak peek on the stain that I used. I needed to have that done before I actually mount and secure the handle. I used red mahogany for the stain. Coming into the home stretch here, I did not want to stain the top before I had an opportunity to glue it. Glue it here is much better with the raw wood as opposed to having it already stained. This concludes the build of this end table. I have a few pictures showing up here. But overall, I really enjoyed making this piece of furniture for my client, and I'm really looking forward to delivering it to their house and to get their reaction. These are some of the outtakes from building this project. I get comments from a lot of people that like this when I add this to my videos, show you what things have gone wrong. Phenomenal program. It minimizes, well for me, it minimizes potential errors down the road there. Okay, well. That's not right. How did I cut? Where's the measurements? Oh, damn. Can't believe it. Well, this is a problem. This is the base for the drawer, and unfortunately it's 15 inches wide, and my planer only does 13 inches. If I could replicate that same end table, and it looks pretty, God. This is like take number 8. Oh, God. Welcome to Maurer Woodworking. I'm Walter Maurer. I specialize in developing building. Well, you made it through the entire video. Thank you. If you can do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe, I'd very much appreciate that. And leave a comment. Let me know what you liked about the project and also on the video, so I can improve on the next one that I produce. Thank you so much. Bye.